Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll do the full review of the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. In fact, just a month ago, in the first week of February, I had posted actually the camera review and overall performance of this device. That covers almost 85% of the points, but many of you actually wanted my traditional pros and cons video. So here it is, and I waited and I got some updates also. So here it goes, and overall I would say it's a really good phone if you can afford it. Certainly one of the best Android phones that I've used, but yes, it's pricey in India. We'll talk about that, and I have made a list of pros and cons. I'll show you that, noted over the laptop so I do not miss anything. And let's do different this time. Let's start with the cons. What are the things that I did not like about it, and some of the questions that you guys might be having. So let's start with the cons, and then we'll move to the pros. Starting with the cons, guys, and many of you have asked me, now this has the new Exynos 2100 SoC, and I would say this is much better than the Exynos 990, but we are talking about the cons, so let's talk about it. And many of you have asked me about the heating issues with this device, and yes, it does heat up in certain situations. So let me talk about when I noticed heating on this one. When I actually got this phone new and I set it up, and I set up phones from scratch, guys, so I don't do the migration or anything. So I just put the SIM, everything, and I download all the apps and everything. And when I was setting up the phone actually got very warm. In fact, this area around the rim and here also, it became very hot while it was downloading stuff initially and everything, and it stayed actually quite warm to touch for next couple of hours, I think. So when you first get the phone and set it up, after downloading everything and stuff, when it's downloading and all those things, it becomes hot, and after that for a couple of hours, I think so, it does the indexing. So even when I was not using the phone, when I just touched it, it felt warm. But again, I feel this happens only the first couple of hours or first day when you're setting up the device. After that, with regular usage like casual using Twitter, WhatsApp and all those things, it did not overheat or felt uncomfortably warm like many of the Samsung earlier smartphones that came with the Exynos SoC. That was the Exynos 990. For example, the Note 20 Ultra, though I like the Note 20, the only reason I did not use it was because it used to heat excessively in normal usage. This does not heat in normal usage. Yes, when you first get the phone, or even I updated to the latest security update. Even after security updates, it got a security update, and I had updated it. Then also I felt after doing that security update for a couple of hours, the phone felt warm. So I think so even after security updates, it's doing that indexing. So when it's doing that, yes, it does feel warm. But regular usage like browsing stuff, WhatsApp, Twitter, etc., no, it does not heat up. One more area where I notice, yes, it gets pretty warm is while you continuously use the camera. Yes, it's got massive camera, that 108 megapixel, and if you're continuously using the camera for a couple of minutes, definitely this area actually gets pretty warm. But guys, that is to be expected if you use the camera on this continuously, because it has one of the best cameras out there, has that 108 megapixel, it's downsampling it, so uses a lot of processing power. So in that area, definitely when you use the camera continuously, this area got warm. But I would say in regular usage, it was not an issue, unlike some of the smartphones that came earlier with the Exynos 990. So in that way, I'm happy. But yes, there is some heating when you use the camera, no doubt about it. Okay, let's move to the next thing that I do not like is that, you know, Samsung flagship phones always came with that Samsung Pay. Not a big deal, but the big deal was that it came with MST. That means you could just tap on a machine, even though it didn't have NFC, and it used to work. Sadly, they have actually removed that functionality on this one, so I feel they have gone backward in that area. That's one of the main reasons I didn't even bother to use Samsung Pay. On earlier Samsung flagship, I used to always use Samsung Pay because of that, but that feature is now gone on this one. Next thing is that regarding ads, some of you have asked me about it, and some of you in fact have said that with the S21 Plus, etc. In fact, Nirmal TV also tweeted this, and if you open the weather app and stuff, you might see some ads over here. Here for me it is not happening, and even if you notice, I use the Samsung Galaxy Fold 2, and I'm not getting any ads here or even in the notification area. And the only thing that I did different is that I did not enable the Samsung account, and I checked with Nirmal. He had actually enabled the Samsung account. When you set up the phone, it constantly prompts you to log in with your Samsung account. I did not do that, and by doing that, I'm not getting any ads on unnecessary notification. So again, guys, it is very strange to say if you're getting this phone, just do not log with your Samsung account. Use your Google account and stuff. I'm using that, everything is working. But for some reason, if you're logging on with your Samsung account, it is enabling some unwanted notifications and even what you say ads in the weather app. That is a worrying trend. Samsung should stop that. But I didn't use the Samsung account and it's not happening. And this happened to me both on the Samsung Galaxy Fold 2. There also I did not enable any Samsung account and I did not get ads. So that is something you have to note, guys. Okay, now let's move to another thing is regarding the Indian pricing, guys. If you notice the US pricing of the smartphone, there they have reduced the price by $200. So you would expect something like that even in India, but that's not the case. In fact, they increased the pricing by a couple of thousand rupees. So that is a sad move in my opinion. Yes, I know the GST has increased, but again, I feel this is an expensive phone if you're getting on MRP. Yes, Samsung offers some discounts and stuff, but the MRP price, they could have been aggressive. Anyways, let's move to the next thing that I do not like is we simply do not get any charger in the box. This is the new trend that we are seeing on flagship smartphones. So sadly, we're not getting any charger in the box. Okay, fine, but the maximum charging current on this is 25 watt. If you recall, earlier Samsung flagships used to support maximum charging of 45 watts, but the maximum charges is restricted to 25. Don't get me wrong, it's not like the 25 watt charger is slow or something, but when we are seeing other smartphones going about 65, whatever, they should have enabled that 45 watt charging. And when a person who's going out and buying a new charger, he could have just directly bought that 45 charging. So yes, it's not bad, not a deal breaker or anything, but yeah, seeing what we are seeing with other brands supporting 65 watt, 50 watt charging, the maximum charging is just 25 watt on this one. Anyways, next thing that I hate is, again, this is a trend, guys. All flagships are doing it. We don't get even USB dongle. Of course, we don't have a 3.5mm headphone jack, but earlier Samsung used to bundle a headphone, USB Type-C headphone, that is also missing. So again, if you've seen my unboxing, you just hardly get anything. This thing and the USB cable, that's it. So guys, these were the cons of this device. I wanted to highlight them first, but let's now look at the pros. And first, let's talk about the build quality. And wow, here I have to say Samsung has done an incredible job. The build looks solid on this one. It feels super premium when you hold it, and it's very difficult to convey this from a video. If you get a chance to go to any electronic store, most of the high-end stores do have demo units. Just hold it and look at it. The build quality is amazing on this. Another thing that I like, this is a small touch. The back is glass. This is Victus glass, and I like the matte finish what they have done. What happens is with many of the phones that have this glass back, it gets very smudgy or something with fingerprints. This resists the fingerprints like anything. So I like it. In fact, I've been using it without the case. Earlier, I never used to like using phones with case, but I used to put the case because of the nasty fingerprints. But here, as you can see, it resists the fingerprints very well. Okay, now the biggest thing that you'll notice when you're getting this phone is the damn screen on this one. Man, oh man. We know that Samsung generally puts the best AMOLED screens, and they have put the best of the best on this one. Not only it supports that 120 Hertz, but it works in that quad HD. So the images and the videos when you're watching anything on this looks superb. In fact, it is butter smooth even that 120 Hertz. Again, it's very difficult to convey this via video, but have to say the screen quality is something that I really like on this. And in fact, it can go very bright even in outdoor situation. If you recall that camera review that I put, we had gone to vacation, so we're shooting a lot of stuff in outdoor conditions, sunny conditions, and I never had an issue with the screen. So outdoors also it gets very bright. Easily you can actually see the screen even in direct sunlight. But one more small thing is that Many of these smartphones claim to have AMOLED screen and stuff, and they can go pretty bright, but when we look at night, let's say all the lights are closed, you want the brightness to go very low so that it does not hurt your eyes. And here a lot of smartphones actually fail in that department, but luckily this can go very low at night, and it simply does not hurt your eyes, and you don't get that flickering or anything. So the best of the best screens are out there, and the best part is that it works with at 120 hertz. It's called the adaptive motion smoothness. That's at 120 hertz. Works very well. Now, if we are talking about this 120 hertz, this also has been implemented very well on this one. Silky smooth, I would say, in usage. And just notice how fluid the device is. The Exynos 2100 in this area, I would say Samsung has really worked hard on this one. This is miles and miles better than the Exynos 990 in my frank opinion. And while using the device, I never had an issue of lagginess or anything, even when I was using it at 120 hertz. So that way I would say the Exynos 2100 is a good processor. I never had an issue even with that 120 hertz. Now let's also talk about the battery life on this one. And here also I would say this is much better than the previous Samsung flagships. For example, let's talk about the Note 20 Ultra, which had the Exynos 990. If you see my review, the full review, I said it was okay phone, but I was never happy with the battery life on that one. For a typical day's usage with my regular use with my two SIMs, I used to hover around 4 to 4.5 hours of screen on time on that one. And by the end of the day, it used to get critically low at about 10 to 15%. But on this one, I can easily get a screen on time of about 5.5 to about 6 hours. And at the end of the day, even with that kind of usage, I generally always had closer to about 25 to 30% battery life. So that way I would say the battery life is actually really good on this one. And during my usage, I never, in the background of my mind, I had a battery anxiety issue. So that way I would say the battery life is good. But again, it's a everyday charge for device, guys. It won't work for 2 days like some of the mid-range smartphones. Let's be practical about it. But the battery life is not an issue if you charge it every day. Next thing that I like is this One UI on this one. Man, Samsung is really doing a good job. As I've told you, it is very smooth. And now if you go to the left, you can have this Google pane. So what Samsung is doing is, always I used to hate Samsung for this. They never used to enable this Google pane. So what they're doing is indirectly like cleaning up stuff. And I have to say, in terms of responsiveness, this is one of the most responsive Android UI that I've used. Very well optimized. So that way, it's done very well. Animations are smooth, everything. It has this traditional Samsung dialer like this, and everything is very smooth and optimized. In terms of UI, I would say Samsung has come a long way now compared to their earlier UI. So it's very well optimized. Now moving to RAM management, here also I did not have an issue, and again, as expected, it is having that 12 gigabytes of RAM, and I never had an issue of RAM management on this device. So that way it is fine. Moving to another small thing is that I feel the haptic motor on this is calibrated very well. It works immensely well, and you get that great haptic feedback when you're using this device. So that way it's nice. Also, with most of the Samsung flagships, the speakers are really good. That's the same case even with this one. I did not have an issue with the speaker. Let me just try to play back one of my own videos. That's the Dimensity 800U that we found on the Realme X7. Let me just bring it pretty up. Interesting. That was a good chipset if I recall. And generally, if you know NAS, and it is actually pretty loud, I would say. Another thing is that with the stereo speakers, you get slight bass effect, which is actually missing on many of those phones with the stereo speaker. The stereo speaker calibration is done very well, and it gives you a very wide soundscape. So when you're watching on YouTube videos, you don't get stereo. Many people don't record in stereo. I'm also new, but when I was watching some Netflix content and stuff, I had a very immersive experience. So the stereo speakers are actually really good on this one. Now coming to the gaming, guys, I didn't do a lot of gaming. I just played Call of Duty, and even at the max setting it handled it fine. So if you're sort of a casual gamer also, it is fine. But again, if you're just a gamer, why would you spend so much money? You can get, if you just want a gaming phone, you can spend just half and get a gaming phone. But yeah, if you want this phone and you want to do a little bit of gaming, certainly you can do that. But again, I'm not a person who plays games continuously for hours and hours. I must have played COD for about 25 minutes and the experience was good. Anyways, moving to another thing is that now Samsung says that this has S Pen functionality, and in fact, if you watch my unboxing video, I did show that I pulled out the S Pen from my old Note device and the S Pen works on this one. But again, we don't have any space to put the S Pen, so I don't know how practical is the S Pen functionality. So yes, technically it's there, but again, S Pen is not included in the box. So I think so if you are a hardcore S Pen user, then I still feel the Note series might be better. But yeah, the S Pen functionality is there. Now coming to the last pro, and I feel this is the biggest pro, and if you're planning to get this phone, this might be the big reason, and that's the camera. And I have to say, the camera is outstanding on this smartphone. In fact, watch the other video that I had posted. I won't show all the samples there. I showed you a lot of samples and videos, but camera is outstanding on this one. Certainly one of the best camera experience that I had from a smartphone. In fact, what I also liked is the front-facing camera performance has also improved a lot. That was a big question mark with earlier Samsung flagships. They used to look very artificial in front-facing camera, but here the front-facing camera performance has also improved, and the dynamic range is also so good with the front-facing camera. So overall, to sum it up, I would have to say this is a very good Android smartphone if you have that kind of a budget. Certainly it is a very expensive smartphone. It's not like a perfect like any other smartphone. For example, the cons what I have mentioned to you do not affect, and if you have that kind of a budget and camera is a very high priority to you, then I feel you'll be happy with this device. Anyways guys, that was my full review of the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. What do you guys feel about the same? And guys, if you're still not subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. This is Ranjit and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care guys.